Today, we are going to get into the story of a man who was, well, basically the king of rejection. Seriously, he was a master of failing, who then somehow used all that failure to build one of the biggest companies on the entire planet. This is the incredible story of Jack Ma.
Okay, so I want you to put yourself in his shoes for a second. Imagine a brand new KFC opens up in your city. 24 people, yourself included, go and apply for a job. The manager reviews all the applications and ends up hiring 23 people. You are the only one who gets a rejection. Just let that sink in for a moment. But wait, it gets worse. He applied to be a police officer with 4 of his friends. You know what happened? They hired every single one of them except him. Again. Most people would just give up. But this guy, he was different. He took all those rejections and somehow spun them into a $400 billion empire. I'm, of course, talking about the founder of Alibaba, the one and only Jack Ma. I'm sharing this millionaire's story in clear, professional English so we can get inspired and, level up our vocabulary together. So let's do it. Let's analyze the mindset of Jack Ma. So let's get one thing straight right away. Jack Ma was not some kind of born genius. Far from it. He failed his primary school exams. He was terrible at math. But what he did have was a very, very specific type of mindset. He was strategic. And that's our first power word. It just means having a clever, long-term plan to get to where you want to go. See, Jack Ma wasn't just thinking about tomorrow. He was planning for the next 10 years. Just take his plan to learn English, for example. He didn't just go out and buy a book. Oh, no. For 9 years, he woke up at 5 a.m., cycled to a hotel nearby, and offered free tours to foreigners just so he could practice speaking. Now that is dedication. And this right here is a perfect example of our next word, investment. Jack Ma's 9 years were a huge investment of his time and his effort. He wasn't paid a single dollar, but the reward he got later, it was massive. He gained a global vision. He literally learned to see the world in a completely different way. So when he came back from a trip to the US back in 1995, he was just buzzing with excitement about this new thing called the internet. He got all his friends together to share his big idea for a new company. And what did they do? They literally called him Crazy Jack. You see, he was surrounded by a complete lack of innovation. And that's our next key term. It just means using a new idea or a new way of doing something. The people around him, they were scared of new ideas. They honestly thought he'd lost his mind. But Jack, he didn't care what they thought. How do we know that? Well, he applied to Harvard University 10 times. And can you guess how many times they rejected him? Yep, 10 times. This incredible persistence, it's a perfect example of resilience. It's that inner strength to just keep going, to bounce back after something bad happens. Jack Ma knew that this quality was way more valuable than any fancy degree from Harvard could ever be. He actually built his whole company on this idea. He knew that for scaling, that's our last power word, it just means making a business grow way, way bigger. You don't hire the smartest people. Nope, you hire the toughest people. The ones with that resilience, the ones who just refuse to quit. And this all brings us to the core wealth lesson of his life, which really boils down to 2 different mindsets. Most people, they see a problem and they complain about it. But wealthy people, they see that exact same problem and they get to work building a solution. In his own words, opportunity lies in the place where people complain. This is everything. Every single complaint you hear is a potential business idea just waiting to be discovered. And he put this philosophy right into action. He didn't build Alibaba to compete with giant corporations. He built it as a solution for all the small business owners who were complaining that they couldn't survive. He empowered them by solving their biggest, most painful problem. All right, so let's do a quick power-up of the professional vocabulary we just learned together. We went over 5 words that are absolutely crucial for any entrepreneur. Okay, here we go. Strategic, having that clever long-term plan. Investment, putting in the effort now for a bigger reward later on. Innovation, using a new idea, a new way of doing things. Resilience, that strength to bounce back after you fail. And scaling, making a business grow really, really large. I'd go ahead and grab a screenshot of this. These words are pure gold.
To grow your English and your mindset every single day, go ahead and hit subscribe and join our community. Let's succeed together. See ya! So, I'm going to leave you with this question. As you go about your day today, just listen. What is the one problem you keep hearing people complain about that you could build a solution for?